Be successful, find out what the price is, and then pay it. Nothing in life comes easy, and every triumph has a journey of its own.
A very good afternoon to Ma'am Anjali Jaipuria, Ma'am Promini Chopra, Dr. C.M. Nautiyal, the teachers, moderator Sir Rahul Singh, the panelists, our seniors, and our dear friends. It is an immense pleasure to have been provided with this wonderful opportunity. Through the webinar, from building a legacy to becoming a mentor, not only will we students of classes 11 and 12 be provided with a clearer picture of what is in store for us once we get out of school, but we will also gain valuable advice on making better career choices for ourselves, be it in a traditional field or an offbeat one.
People who have walked the same paths as you have, people who have had similar dilemmas, people who had the same teachers and classrooms as you do right now, are the people who can guide you in the right direction in the best way possible. So here we have a panel of alumni of our school who have all carved out a niche for themselves.
We heartily welcome the moderator, a banker by the day and writer by the night. He serves as principal, Corporate Advisory Group, IIM Udaipur, and is Academic Council Board member of Jaipuria Institute of Management.
Rahul sir is the initiator of Gyanology, which aims to democratize wisdom. His book, You Know the Glory, Not the Story, 25 Journeys Towards Ikigai, is scheduled to be released in the third quarter of 2020. Sir studied Bachelor of Engineering at NTU on full scholarship and holds an MBA degree from IIM Bangalore. Thank you, sir, for being here today. We now request you to please take over the proceedings.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanvi. Thank you, Ria. Thank you for that wonderful welcome. Thank you, ma'am. I think Anjali ma'am and Promini ma'am are there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for coordinating and organizing this. And thank you, everybody who is on the panel and everybody else who is hearing us live. It is my honor to welcome you to this, what we are calling Building a Legacy to Becoming a Mentor. So it's answers from Jaipurians to Jaipurians. So some of us are a few years senior to you. I'm probably a few more years senior to most of you. But we are trying to answer the questions that you may have had or you are currently having. So we have all been in this situation. In the past, we did not have anything like this we are doing right now. But we hope to continue this and make it an yearly affair. So with that, I welcome everybody on board. So without further ado, let me first explain some key concepts that I wanted to discuss with you. I will not take more than 5 minutes, and then we'll go into the questions that you have posed to us, and we'll try answering those questions. Okay? So the first I want to tell you, all the students who have just graduated from Jaipuria School with flying color, is that you need to drive your own car. So there are so many cars available in the market. There are engineering, there is economics, there is MBA, there is CA, there is medicine. Find a car that works for you. Another thing, do not drive a car that doesn't belong to you, because you won't go very far. Okay? Second thing I wanted to discuss with you is Ikigai. So what is Ikigai? So Ikigai essentially is finding an area of your passion. Okay? Within that area of your passion, use your skills to solve for a world problem. And the last line is important, such that you get paid for it. What does it mean? Let me explain in simple English. So you would often hear people saying, do whatever you feel like, do what you like. But that statement is an incomplete statement. It needs to be qualified, right? You can't just do anything you feel like, because you, as responsible adults, need to take decisions for your own career, for your own life. So how would you do that? What kind of frameworks can help you do that? Ikigai is one such framework. So let me explain a little further. So if you do something that you love, needs, then that's your mission. So how do you bring all of these together? As you can see, there are 4 circles here, and they all come together and become Ikigai. It's always important to understand that you need to marry your attitude with your aptitude. You cannot just say that I want to do whatever I feel like. Yes, you should do whatever you feel like, but then you need to know what is it that will give you a career, what is it that will give you a vocation, what is it that will make you successful. Keep this Ikigai framework in mind when you're deciding what career you want to pursue. And the last thing, ultimately, whatever you do, you're doing it because you want to be happy, right? I mean, nobody is doing anything because it makes them unhappy. So how do you become happy? For being happy, you essentially need to, there are 2 things here, right? As you can see in the equation, happiness is equal to attainment minus desire. That's what I've written. So what it means is that when you attain more than you desire, then you're happy. Whereas when you attain less than you desire, then you're unhappy. The thing about life is that usually when you're writing exams for ISC or ICSC, there is a course, there is a syllabus. But when you're writing an exam for live, there is no syllabus. It's more like a pop-up quiz which happens anytime. So what Jaipuria school does is it prepares you for that life exam, okay? And to pass that life exam, the only thing that can see you through is your efforts, your sincere efforts. Forget about the result. So decide a career that you want to pursue for yourself, and within that career, put your 100%. That's the only thing you can do. Whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. Don't worry about it. Be sincere about your effort. Don't worry about the results. So those were the 3 messages I wanted to give you. And now what we will do is we will go into the questions proper. So we will discuss the questions that you have posed to us. We have gotten a lot of questions on Delhi University admissions. So we will get the elephant out of the room. So we'll begin with Shivika. Shivika, the first question to you is, how should a high scorer, so when we say high scorer, these are people who have got more than 90% in their ISC examination, choose the best course in DU or the best institute in DU? What's the difference between LSR, SRCC, and St. Stephen's? Could you answer that, please, Shivika, for us?
Good afternoon, everybody. I was a pass out from Jaipuria School, a 2019 pass out, and currently I'm doing economics honors from Sri Ram College of Commerce. I see a lot of my immediate juniors over here, so like, hey, how are you? And talking about the question that we have at hand, how should a high scorer pick the best course in DU? So the thing is that if you're 90% and a plus scorer, you need to understand what course you want to do. So there is nothing that draws the parallel between okay, so mere 90% आए, so I should do something which has a higher cutoff. That should not be the case. So for that matter, if you're one person who has interest in journalism, who has interest in, for that matter, English honors, who has interest in perhaps sociology, and you necessarily do not need a very high cutoff for sociology. If I take it as an example, then you should go for a course that you necessarily want. So picking the best course in DU or picking the best course in any college is all about what you want to do in the future and what you are basically focusing on. And one of the very big ways in which you can actually in which you can actually go about this is read the course structure of each and every college that you want to apply in. So considering that you're a high scorer, you have options open for you. You are at a privileged position where you have the options open to you and you can choose from colleges. That's a very privileged place that you are in. And if you are in that place, you should always read the course structure you should always list down what all can I do, what all am I really interested in, and then find a Venn diagram. This is the intersection. I like this as well. This is perhaps lucrative as well, and at the same time, this is something that lies within my, perhaps I can get into a very good college because of the cutoff. So I think that's one thing that you should focus on when you are a high scorer and you want to choose a course in Delhi University. Talking about LSR, SRCC, and Stephens. So I am doing economics. So if I answer in terms of economics, then SRCC is a commerce college, and in a commerce college, the whole environment is it's like a rat race. It is a rat race. It's a small campus. There are only 2 courses. One is economics and the other is BCom, and for undergraduates. And it is a rat race because everybody, the first day you get into college, you are introduced to a very hierarchical type of working. You are introduced to a very, if you want to get this done, go to this person will tell you to go to this person, then you reach up to this person, and then you go up to this person, and then you get your work done. That's SRCC for you. So if you want a very corporate style of, you want a corporate exposure right in your undergraduate level, right at the undergraduate level, I think SRCC is a very good option. Stephens, on the other hand, has a very good exposure for academia. If you wish to go into think tanks, if you wish to go into government jobs, if you wish to go into a lot of research and analysis, I think Stephens is a very good choice. And considering LSR, one very good thing about LSR and I'd say this specifically for humanities students. One very good thing with LSR is that it has a lot of courses. It has a lot of courses from each and every domain, from art, from all your humanities courses, taking into account political science, history, journalism. It has so many courses, so you are introduced to a very different type of exposure altogether. It is a much more, a very horizontal exposure rather than a vertical exposure as in SRCC. So if you want a vertical exposure, if you want something which drives you more into corporates, SRCC is the best option. If you want an option wherein wish to go into government jobs, you wish to go into academia, you wish to go into research, I think Stephens is a very good option for you. And LSR is somewhere you have a very good atmosphere, to grow in as a person, which, like, you are introduced to very different type of you are introduced to different type of opinions, and it's it introduces to a more of a humanities background. If you are from a humanities background, I think LSR is also a very good option. So yeah, that's there. I think that helps that question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shivika. Thank you so much for that insight. So if I could just summarize, so you're saying if you're a high percentage person, then you have more options to take it as an option, not a compulsion, that because I have high percentage, so I should be compelled to take a course, right? The other thing you mentioned about is that Stephens is more for academia government, SRCC is more corporate-like, LSR has a lot of courses. So that's what you mentioned. Now, moving on, there are quite a few questions on economics. So can you tell us what does economics honors actually teach?
So if I talk about economics honors, one thing that is very, very certain, and I think you must have heard as well, is that you need to be comfortable with mathematics to do economics. And I'm speaking from personal experience, considering a lot of people in humanities must choose economics, and I did it in my year as well. I chose mathematics with economics because I felt that after a point of time, if I feel that I there is always this, inhibition along with humanities that you will not be able to land in a high paying job, which is, like, basically instilled in our heads because of the society that we live in. We normally go for maths and then basically focus on economics. So now, if you want to do economics forward, you need to know if you're comfortable in maths, because there's a lot of advanced level of mathematics. There's a lot of calculus. If you are not necessarily interested in mathematics but you want to do economics, you will end up losing interest in economics as a whole. That's something that I felt in my year. So that necessarily does happen.
Thanks, Shivika. I will have to move on in the interest of time. Just thank you. So I understand that economics is a very math-heavy subject, and that is not surprising, because even if you look at the past few Nobel Prizes in economics in the last 20 years, they've all been mathematicians rather than economics per se, right? So thank you for that insight. In just 1 minute, could you answer what are the best colleges for economic honors? And if somebody has commerce in their class 12 and they're switching to economics in their undergrad, is it a waste of their 2 years of studies in class 11th and 12th?
Obviously not. If I talk about the second question, obviously not. While you choose the commerce stream, you always have an economics. You always have economics as a subject. So you know how much importance economics has in commerce. And talking about the best colleges for economics honors, I think if you are necessarily just talking about Delhi University, so SRCC, Stephens, obviously. Then you have Ramjas College. On some level, is very good with economics, because I've talked to a lot of people and they've told me this. Hansraj College is a very good college for economics, and Hindu and Miranda. If you talk about South Campus colleges, I think Venkateshwara College, Delhi College of Arts and Commerce, LSR undoubtedly, and then you have IP College. IP College as well, Indraprastha College as well, which is very good in economics. Aside from Delhi University, you can also go for Christ University. They have a very structured BA program course, which helps you if you are a little bit confused in an honors and a normal BA program degree. And then you have Ashoka as well. Ashoka is a very good college for economics. They presently had Arvind Subramanian as their professor for economics. So I think Madhav will be able to guide you better with what Ashoka Ashoka related questions, but I think Ashoka is also a very good college.
Thank you so much, Shivika, for that. But sir, moving on to you, what's the difference between a pass course and an honors course? And usually what happens is when people have admissions in good colleges in Lucknow, they still tend to choose a pass course from any college in Delhi University. So what's your opinion on that?
Okay, so yeah, am I audible? Yeah.
You're audible. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, good afternoon, Promnima and Preeti ma'am. Thank you for providing me with this opportunity. So, going straight away to the question, what is an honors course as compared to a pass course? So, it's just that you are specializing in a particular subject when you're doing an honors course. When you're doing the Eco honors, you're specializing in economics. When you're doing BCom honors, you're specializing in commerce. So, you get a tag of specializing in a particular subject. So, that adds is more value additive as compared to a pass. Course. Then talking about people leaving their, I will not say only Lucknow, leaving their hometown for doing a pass course in Delhi University, is it worth it or not? In my opinion, there are several pro or cons to it. There is like a person needs to draw a line where after which he will prefer to stay in his hometown. There are jot down a list of colleges that are like of that merit that yeah, leaving the hometown will be more beneficial and being there. I guess the good colleges that are in north campuses and colleges in south campus, as the most the names as Shivka said, studying in this in those colleges have a lot of value addition. Like there is a somewhat of a tag that is attached to them, but it is not necessary for. I don't. It's a very personal opinion because there are other pros of going to Delhi University, like having an exposure of living in alone, independently, and all those as well, and working in student and organizations. But I find that doing a pass course from an off-campus college in Delhi University is not worth leaving your hometown.
Sure.
That's a personal opinion.
Thank you so much, Vatsal. I'll move on to Khushbu now. Khushbu, you have an interesting trajectory. You were, I think, a
Right.
science student and then you shifted to humanities. You were a science student and then you shifted to humanities for your undergrad. So the question to you is, if there is a student who has between 70 to 90%, what are the colleges that are available to them? And how can they beef up their resume or their overall offering, because they fall in that 70 to 90 bracket and they're yet competing against those people who have 90 plus in the real world. So what would be some of the tips that you could give about this?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'll quickly dive into the question. Now, if you are someone who has scored between 80 and 90%, there's a good chance that you can get into the course of your choice also if you go for colleges that are not located in the North Campus. So for example, in South Campus, it's difficult to get an honors course, for example, if you have less than 87, 88%. But at the same time, you can choose colleges like the Al Singh College, because see, that was a college I went to in the first list when I had gotten admission. I got a 90 and I got into the Al Singh College for English honors. And I realized the faculty is really good. The location is a good, it's located in a posh area near the Lodi Gardens. And the crowd is also very good. So after which, of course, 2 weeks later, I had changed into to Motilal Nehru College. But I realized that there are colleges located off campus that are pretty good and worth going to, worth trying. For example, Deen Dayal Upadhyay College is also very good. But then if you do not have, let's say, above 85% and below that, then maybe you can go for BA program, BCom program, the program courses, the normal, not the honors one. And you would get into colleges for that matter. Like, you can get even into the South Campus colleges, DCACR, ARSD, Motilal Nehru College, if you have even less than 85% for a program course. But then again, if you are compromising on program, on a course over college, on college over course, please do not do that. I request you to never go for college over course. That's very important, and that's something I learned in the first year of my college itself, that you always choose course over college. And because at the end of the day, it is up to you. But you are the one who has to study at the end of the day. The brazen truth is that the teachers don't really teach in Delhi University. There are no classes that happen in most of the colleges. Some exceptions are girls' colleges, but otherwise there are hardly any classes that take place. So at the end of the day, it is your dedication and how you how you want to go about it. Now if you have less than, let's say, in between 70 to 80%, of course you should try for merit, but then sit for exams like DUET, that is do it exams, or JAT exams for BMS, because these courses are very very good. And in case you get through the exam, that will take you there in any college. For example, a friend of mine was in Aryabhat College for BMS course, all right, through the JAT exam. Now, although the crowd wasn't that great, but her own course had amazing crowd and amazing faculty, because she had got through the examination. So that also counts. And then another option is ECA, okay, extra co-curricular activities. So that is a very important option in my opinion, because I had also sat through like the writing ECA. Otherwise, if you, for example, let's say a football player or any kind of sports person, then you can apply for trials. Now usually it's 50% 50% of certificates, 50% of your trials, that you can get admission into a college. So for example, you do well in your football trials, and you also have a lot of certificates in your football field, then it's a very it's a good chance that you get into maybe the North Campus also, if you are, let's say, a national level player and also do very well in the football trials, the prelims. Similarly, if a person is into dancing and has a lot of certificates in dancing, and also does very well in the dance auditions, that is the prelims and the finals, then they have a very good chance of getting into the top colleges as well. So ECA matters a lot, and for that in school you can try collecting certificates in one field. That's very important. If you, for example, interested in writing, poetry, oratory, everything, try collecting certificates more, winning certificates in one field more, so that you have a lot of you have good chance of passing an ECA.
So thank you so much, Khushbu, for that. So you gave a very important tip. This is often a neglected factor about getting admission into Delhi University. ECA, and the other thing which you mentioned about is do-it exam. So on ECA, you mentioned try to focus on one. Don't try to be jack of all, because if you try to dig here, there, everywhere, pani to kahin se nahi niklega na. So you have to go deep, right? So that's a very good point. Now, in 1 minute, I want your answer on this. What is do-it? What courses give admission through do-it?
Now 2.5% reduction, I think I'll talk about that first. Now I'm not very sure if it has been scrapped or not in this year. I think I heard that it has been, but if it hasn't, see, from my percentage, 2.5% was not deducted because I went for English honors. Although I was a PCM student and a PCM with biotech, and I then went for English honors, but the score was not deducted because I had English as a subject in my school. But if you do not have that subject, you're not studying that subject, and then you go apply for the course, then 2.5% will be deducted. In that case, there are other quotas. For example, if for girls, not everybody knows this, but there are girls quotas in a few colleges. Okay, I think they are there in Zakir Hussain and other. I don't really remember which college, but you can check it online on the website. There are girls quotas. You get 1% there. So even if 2.5% is deducted, you can get like 1% from these places. Now, for instance, now talking about Do It. The full form of Do It is Delhi University Examination Test, I think. And I'm not very sure of what all courses are there in that, because it keeps changing every year. But I sat for journalism examination in at my time, and it was for a journalism course. So because journalism is very limited, I think that it's there in like 2-3 colleges hardly. So when you take the exam for that, they you get cleared for the colleges, and then you can choose according to that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Khushbu, for that. And I'll now move on to Harshi. Harshi, the question to you is, what is the challenge, the pros and cons of taking maths in class 12?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Harshi, and I passed out from Jaipuria in 2018. So I took maths in 11th grade, and it was with humanities and art. So it was my 6th subject. And at that time, it was because of a lot of reasons, and I thought it would help me later because I was not exactly sure if I wanted to design, and I saw that through maths I could also get into architecture later. But then I had no classes in school, and I had a private tutor come teach me, so it didn't work out very well. I was failing my classes, and a lot of my friends chose to opt out of maths but I still stuck with it. So I feel like it was not like I really liked maths and I got good grades in 10th boards and all of that. But at the end, if you're not getting proper teaching for something, then you can't really stick with it for a subject like maths. It's not that people can't, because I had a few friends who got really good grades despite not having classes, but my focus was on design and I went to design coaching and I was doing that. And instead of choosing to focus on maths, I chose to focus on design, and that's why I failed to get really good grades. So it was really it was really bad towards the end, because in like I had failed most of my tests in 11th and 12th, and then I was really worried about failing my boards, but that didn't happen, luckily. And though so it's good to have your choices open, but not to the point that you're overburdening yourself. And maths is a good subject. Obviously, it has a lot of scope, but it might not be the best option for you. So I think it's really important to know what you will be able to do, and just to, not take too much on your plate. So at the end, the choice is yours, and I feel like you should make a good decision as to if you'll be able to handle it without teachers and without classes in school, and if you'll be able to cope with it with private tuitions. And it's okay if you won't be, and you have to let things go.
Thank you so much for that insight. Shubh, I will move on to you. And the question to you is very simple. What role does skills or ECA play in admission in DU? And how can one ace that?
Hi Rahul, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
So good afternoon everyone, Promni ma'am, Preeti ma'am, Anjali ma'am, Rahul, fellow panelists. My name is Shobh. I graduated from Jaipuria in the year 2018. After that I took a year in Hindu College, from where I dropped down to do law at OPJGU. So my 1 year at Hindu College, and the admission process is what I'm going to talk to you about a little bit. I think Khushbu gave a very comprehensive response in terms of saying excel at one activity. And I think this is something that all candidates need to note, that in the best colleges, when you talk about Hindu, LSR, Stephens, the seats that are open for literary activities like debating, like writing, are not that much. In fact, if you take the last year admissions taken through ECA in Hindu, DepSoc, those are zero, right? So that means Hindu had no place in English public debating. So what is that these colleges are taking? These colleges are taking sports, right? If you are a state level basketball player, if you are a hockey player, if you are a cricketer. I had my friends in class who were doing very well in the state level in terms of sports. So that is something the colleges up there are going to recognize. So I think if you're someone who's on the literary front, do not place all your eggs in the basket that I'm going to do very well at debating, I'm going to do very well at writing, and then I'm going to have an offer from Stephens. No, that won't happen. Speaking, by seeing records, and these records are public, people can go and check that these colleges have not been taking, as many students in ECA as we call it, as the ECA admissions. So what are these colleges that take ECA? We're talking about Narendra Dev College, Saraswati College, colleges like XYZ colleges, that are really not the colleges that I would like fellow Jaipurians to attend. And like, to be very candid and frank here, right? I think we like speak to a level of candidacy here. So I think that's that. So that's number one. But B, if I were to give some advice, if you do something, do it very well, right? And as someone who I think debated for 6 years, who debated all through college life and who debated through school life, if you're doing something, do it really well. Do not leave it half-fledged. Do not do it half-heartedly, because you will be investing a lot of time into it. And if you want to do it, then convert it really well. I mean, go on to the state level, if possible, go on to the national level. Just don't do it to collect a certificate and then forget about it, because that is something that will not pay off. The only thing that's going to pay off reasonable dividend, like a reasonable amount of dividend, is a national level certification, is a state level certification by due authorities that can get you some weightage. And again, weightage not in the top 5-7 colleges in terms of debating or like English poetry, but surely in the colleges that are not in the top 10, colleges 10 to 15, or colleges top 20, right? So I think those are the colleges that are going to give you more like certification for these things. However, if you're a sports player, then things are a different ball game. I have had many friends who were state level basketball players and cricket players who made it to top colleges like Hindu and Stephens purely based on sports quota. So I mean, if that's that, then I think that's surely a shot worth pursuing. But I won't advise people to put their eggs in baskets saying that ECA can get you to Hindu or Stephens or anywhere, because as a matter of fact, these colleges don't take it. I mean, last time Hindu DepSoc took 0 people, and that is literally what facts are. So yeah.
Sure, sure. So thank you so much for that insight. So ECA is not as easy as people think. Okay, now we are going to rapid fire round for DU University questions. Which is the best course in DU for science? That's the question.
I don't think you can just say which is the best course. It depends on your interest completely. So this is a very subjective question, which is the best course.
I think all the conversations that I've had with people who are doing science in most of the colleges, I think St. Stephen's College is a very good college to do science. Their BSc courses are very well known. And at the same time, Venkateshwara College in South Campus is also very well known for its science courses.
Sure, sure. Okay, the next question is, if a commerce student is not able to get in DU, what options they have?
For that, if you're not able to get into DU, so there are some competitive examinations that you can give DU JAT, that's for BBA in FIA and BMS, and there are very respected colleges that are giving it. So Shahid Sukhdev College is the upcoming thing in the whole of DU. Then there is IPMAT for the IPM program provided by Indore. Then there are colleges like St. Xavier's, Christ, Symbiosis, and there are some. There is always an option of staying in your hometown and doing there and preparing for a professional course or preparing for your MBA. So, yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. Thank you so much, Vatsal. Next question is, I think I can answer this. It says, students who are applying to DU, are they going to lose a year or definitely not? And the last question in DU admissions category is Delhi University the right environment to prepare for government jobs in future? Who wants to take that?
So it is, I mean, it can be the right environment for you to prepare for government jobs. It really depends on you, yes and no, because basically you will have a lot of freedom in hand. You would not have a lot of classes, and so you will have a lot of time in hand. So it really, at the end of the day, it is up to you how you want to use it. So some people use it very judiciously. Some people really study well and they crack IAS, civil services exams, and so on. But usually what people do is, I've seen that they go off track because, they have so much of liberty and so many places to chill that they don't really, pay heed to what they're supposed to do in the first place.
India versus overseas. So the first question there is, what is the difference in studying law in India versus overseas? I think Shubh will take this later, but I will answer this at my level. So when you say law overseas, you need to remember that India is a member of Commonwealth. We follow the common law, whereas there are other countries which are largely in continental Europe, which have civil law. So civil law is very different from common law. So when you're picking up law course and your aim is to come back to India to practice, you should pick up a course in a country which is compatible with India. So largely that means former British colonies. So that's number one. Number two, if you're going to study law in the US, it's not an undergrad course, it's a master's course. It's called JD. So those are the two things I wanted to talk about law from overseas. Shubh, you can elaborate on this later when I come specifically to you on law. Okay, other question is, for a student wishing to study abroad, which option is more beneficial? Should he pursue undergrad course or postgraduate course from abroad? This totally depends on the finances. So if you're able to get a scholarship for undergrad, by all means go. But if you cannot, then probably you should delay. Reason being, the cost of studying undergrad and masters overseas is the same. Just the difference is that undergrad is lot longer. So you need to keep that into mind. Should students who are earlier planning to study abroad and take admissions? Okay, the question here says, is that in the view of the current scenario, in the view of the current COVID scenario, should the students study here rather than go abroad? Definitely not. That is not a criteria on the basis of which you decide where you need to study, because COVID is a passing phase. It's not something that's going to be there forever. At max, what may happen is that you may need to do one semester here. That's all. So I'll try something else. Shubh, why don't you take these questions? In the meantime, between law from National University versus private university.
So if the question is what's the difference between a private university law and a national law university law course, right? So there are three primary distinctions. I'm going to talk about all three of them, but in very brief. First, right up the bat, a very contested issue, fee, right? And fee is something we need to have a conversation about. NLUs, the average NLU 5-year course is going to cost you from 12 to 16 lakhs. A private course at Jindal is going to cost you, as of date, 40 lakhs. However, on 40 lakhs, scholarships are available. How do you get those scholarships? You get them through LSAT. So I myself current scholarship holder, if you people have detailed questions, how to get scholarships in LSAT or how to get further grants, that's a separate conversation that we can have. So I think right off the bat, that's absolutely the money aspect of it. The second is the course aspect. And here is where I feel this is also one of the reasons where I left public education and moved on to private education. And my reason is very simple, right? I think a lot of course in NLUs today is outdated, right? It's outdated in terms of that these people are not going through revisions, right? These people are not revising the courses. A lot of things that they're offering, they're not up to market level or they're not up to market standards, right? So if you remove the top 3 NLUs, right? If you remove National Law School Bangalore, Nalsar and NLUJ, you're going to see, and or like even like Nujas for that matter, that's Calcutta, you will see that these people are not really doing a very good job at recruiting people, right? So these people do not have like interdisciplinary courses, there is no multidisciplinary course, and these people also face a shortage of funds. So private education, especially in law, is big investment. I'm absolutely up for that, but it's big investment that pays off because the course quality is better, things are up to date. The things that are very, very relevant to market standards and market forms, especially like in recruitment policy, and you have a lot of things that are in current discourse. So I think just a brief glance at a course manual is going to tell you that what is the difference between the sort of corporate tax law we are taught and the sort of corporate tax law that, like a government college is going ahead and teaching. So I think those are two primary distinctions. And the third distinction is a bit of a superficial distinction, but we need to talk about it. That's employer reputation, right? Many people ask this question, hey, but what about employer reputation? I mean, hey, it's Stephens, it's Hindu, it's something like a National Law School Bangalore, right? And it's like, it ought to be more prestigious, it's more old. Employer reputations, I think that private universities are slightly and slowly making their name up by hiring better people, by giving scholarships, by having better students leave public universities and come and join them. But also secondarily, in terms of these, that these are people who are backed by a good amount of market forces, right? So we have a lot of private capital that's already invested in such colleges, and I've seen, I think, first-hand experience that how Jindal comes to help in terms of, if you're talking about employer reputation. If an international professor or if a corporate law professor who has 10 years of market experience at like Amarchand Mangaldas, if that person can put a letter of recommendation for you, and they do put it for you, things become really, really simple, right? Sure. So I think employer reputation is something that slowly and gradually we're working on, and I'm sure like with the current rankings with Jindal getting first here and there, and I'm not saying that we're the absolute best, but we're saying that we're certainly the top 4, top 5 landscape, and that landscape is ever evolving because public institutions are facing a dearth of funds, and I think funds are something that are not a problem at a private university. So big investment and big reward.
Thank you. So the next question for you is, which is better, BA LLB or BBA LLB? Am I audible?
Oh, right, Rahul, you're audible. Okay. So I think that none is better. I mean, BLLB and BBLLB cater to two different audiences. So, and the difference is not in the LLB part, the difference is in the BA part. So let's get that straight off the bat. BA course is a course where you'll be taught more of history, more of political science, more of sociology. A BBLLB course is where you'll be taught more of finance, more of general management, more of fiscal management, right? So things on the Bachelor's of Business Administration side. So I think that's a comparative, and it's also about what people are choosing for them at the end of the day. So as a person who's heavily invested in things like political philosophy and jurisprudence, and I absolutely love dwelling in old archaic theories, I'm going to choose a BA course. But a friend of mine who says, hey, guess what? The discourse today is moving more towards a corporatization, and therefore I think not having a maths background in class 12th is going to be a problem. So let me take a BBA LLB course to have myself a buffer. Let me take a BBA LLB course, so on my CV I can say that no, I know certain portions of general or fiscal management. So I think that's a choice that people make. So that's a very individual choice. If you have any doubt, you can hit me up personally, but there is no inherent better course. It's like saying, what do you like, apples or bananas? I mean, there is no inherent better choice.
Understood. So in 30 seconds, which is the best private law university in India?
Oh, I think I'm going to hands down say Jindal. I mean, NIFT. Okay. I think NIFT has done that, and I think also Volt QS has done that. So Volt QS, I think it's Jindal by a margin.
Okay. How much does a college matter in terms of career prospects in law?
Oh, I think college matters a really lot. And for those of you who are not observing the law market as closely, if you see, law markets are going through a little bit of a slump. We're going through a little bit of a slump because what we see is we have a lot number of colleges, and these lot number of colleges are producing graduates at a speed, right? I mean, every year, 15 law colleges in India are giving 150 people who have a good amount of 5-year law into them. With that prospect in mind, a good college gives you the cutting edge. A good college means better professors, better letters of recommendations, more updated course manuals, and a better employer's reputation. So it's basically like you start with three heads forward. I mean, SRCC Eco-Honors third-year graduates get packages of 18 lakhs and 20 lakhs. I have friends who got a package of 25 lakhs, and people from not so good colleges do not even get a package offered. So that's literally the same difference I'm talking about.
Sure.
Better academic opportunities, scholarships, better vocationalization, professors, XYZ, everything on the table.
Thank you so much. And one more question over here.
Sure.
Does the law degree place you ahead of the curve because you invest 2 extra years?
Oh, I think so. Now, this is, I think I'll just take a minute here. The roots of this question can be traced back to why did we have 5-year law courses and not 3-year law courses in the beginning of things, right? See, the idea is very simple. The idea was that we wanted law graduates to start catering to this new realm of corporate law that was being induced in India in the 1992s and 1993s, right? Economies just opened up to liberalization, and we want corporate lawyers. Our 3-year law degrees are not essentially based to serve the corporate world. They were more in terms of legislative practices, right? More in arguing in court and like being a practical like practitioner. So those 5-year law degrees are going to place you ahead on the corporate curve. So if a firm comes out, it's true, firms prefer 5-year law graduates to over 3-year law graduates, no doubt in that. But in academics, if you want to practice, these things don't make any difference. But for employer and firm reputation, 5-year is something that they have been generally privileging. And it's also one of the reasons why I made a shift. Else I would have done a 3-year at Hindu and then do law 3-year at Jindal. But I think it's literally one of the reasons why I made the shift, because firms do prefer 5 years over normal 3+3, undoubtedly.
Sure. One question which I took on your behalf, which was overseas versus India.
Oh, sure.
And I talked about JD and I talked about LLB. Do you want to elaborate on that, or my answer was sufficient?
Oh, I think your answer was pretty sufficient. I'll just add 2 points to that. And people ask this a lot, why not go abroad? See, first is the distinction between common and civil law jurisdictions, and people need to know this, because you go there, that's a civil law jurisdiction country, the law you will learn and you can't practice in India. But secondarily, you also need to observe how the Supreme Court, and in a very recent ruling, they're talking about how foreign firms and lawyers cannot practice in India on foreign licenses, right? So there were many people who were ecstatic about this idea of placing themselves out of India in a law firm and then practicing in India sometime or the other. So the scope of people coming from outside and practicing in India is also simultaneously shrinking somewhere. Mediation and negotiation and arbitration is fine, but if you do your JD from Harvard and you want to have the same academic, or you have want to have the same standing in an Indian court, that's really going to be very tough. So I think
Sure.
you have like dealt that question sufficiently. So if you want to practice in India in the courts, I think Indian law is the way to go, or like common law jurisdictions or law degrees that are recognized by the Bar Council. So Australia was recently recognized certain portions in Australia. Jindal has been running a course with Jindal Cornell, and we're receiving BCI. I mean, it's not up there, but in some time they're saying that no, we're going to work on a BCI yes on the nod, but it's not confirmed yet. So I mean, right, the discourse is moving towards this way.
Thanks, Shubh. And I think if people have more questions, they will obviously be able to get back in touch with you.
Sure.
Madhav, moving on to you. Liberal arts is something new in the scenes of India. It was definitely not there when I was in India. So can you tell us more about what liberal arts is, and what is
Sure.
Ashoka University, and also scholarship, and all this in maybe 2 to 3 minutes only?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Rahul. So quickly, very warm regards and love to my Jaipurian fraternity, my fellow juniors, and my co-panelists. Liberal arts, Rahul, is more of it's a style of teaching. It's a pedagogy which focuses on interdisciplinary education. That is emphasizing on fundamentals, developing fundamentals of students across disciplines. Right, so there is no barrier of this that you are a humanities student, or you are a science student, or you are a commerce student. Definitely, there are certain restrictions, but it's not as restrictive as you would find in a Delhi University or some other genuine traditional university. Right. The concept that liberal arts is based on is of majors and minors. That is, major is the course or the discipline in which you get your degree, whereas minor are the subjects where you study the primary courses to develop a skill set in them, so that if later on you want to switch to those courses, maybe do a master's in them, or even get a job on that basis, you can get that. Another very important aspect of liberal arts is that it focuses a lot on your communication and presentation skills, your reading, writing, speaking abilities. For example, in Ashoka, it is compulsory to do 2 co-curricular courses and take some extracurricular activities if you want to get your degree. Even if you have completed all your courses in your major subject and your minor subject and you have no co-curriculars, then you will not get your degree. You'll have to spend another semester and complete those co-curriculars, right? So that's the level of emphasis which is placed on these. I'd like to address a very important misconception about liberal arts, which generally exists, and that is it is only restricted to humanities and social sciences, like political science, geography, philosophy, psychology, etc. But that's not the case. Liberal arts also includes physical sciences like astronomy, physics, biology, chemistry, and now even computer science. In fact, you asked a question about if people from commerce can look for anything beyond commerce, right? In the beginning of this session. So in a liberal arts college like in Ashoka, we even have a minor in entrepreneurship. So for those who don't want to do a traditional BCom honors, can go in for, let's say, a degree, a major, they can major in economics and do a minor in entrepreneurship, right? So that's the basic idea of liberal arts. It is great for people who are not very sure of what they want to do, because liberal arts in a liberal arts college, it won't be looked down upon you if you're confused, if you don't know what you want to do, if you're forward in life. And it is even greater for those who have interests across discipline, who are curious like myself, right? Who want to explore as much as they can and then like pinpoint what they want to do in life.
Sure. What about scholarship? Ashoka is known for scholarships, right?
Right. So Ashoka has a very good system of financial aid. It's a need-based financial aid, which means that they won't look into your merit while giving you financial aid. They won't look at whether you are accepted into the college or not. Definitely, the financial aid process takes place after you have been accepted. It is completely need-based. That means it is based on your family's income, right? While it is not a very transparent process, I'll give into that. You won't be given the specifics of why you were given a certain bracket of aid and not a higher one or a lower one, right? But it's a need-based scholarship. You apply, they go through your financials, the income tax returns of your parents and everything, and then give you a decision on the financial aid.
Sure. So it's a need-blind admission.
Yeah.
A lot of things you mentioned about Ashoka actually reminded me about my own undergrad education. So I went to NTU in Singapore, which is not a liberal arts college by any means. It's all for all intents and purposes, it's a technical university. But in my undergrad, I had the option of studying economics and physics along with my photonics, which is a branch of electronics. So I did those minors as well. So I too relate with what you are saying, and lovely. That answer was lovely. Thank you so much. Okay, I owe some answers for overseas versus India. So somebody had asked the question about what is better, US or UK. So bear in mind, if you're going overseas for studying, or you're going overseas because you want to study and also work there after graduation. So if you want to work there after graduation, then US might be a bad choice because it's very difficult to get visas there. Okay, that's number one. UK might be slightly easier, but having said that, it's also not a cakewalk there. So bear that in mind. Australia might be easier because in Australia they have point-based system where if you have studied in Australia, it's easy for you to be able to work there. Next question I have on my list is, how do you choose the college that fits? How did you choose the college that fits you and the process you undertook? How do you choose the college that fits? It's the same as you choose in India. You decide what you want to do and you look at the whole gamut of things. You look at what your academic standing is and which university you can get into. So it's another science to it. So it's the same as you do in India, nothing different. You look at what you can do and what you want to study, and you see which colleges are likely to accept you, and that's what you do. But before that, you choose a country, because you need to know where you're applying. How did I choose my college, and what was the process I undertook? For me, it was very simple. I got admission into NTU. They were offering me a full scholarship with a stipend, so I got roughly $40,000 a year free, or not free, $40,000 scholarship, and then so for 4 years that's roughly $160K, and that's why I chose NTU, and it was in the top 10 in the world for engineering, and for me it was simple because I got a scholarship, no other reason. Okay, letter of recommendations. How do you get them? Who to get it from? So letter of recommendation is very important for American universities, not so important for Commonwealth countries, which include Singapore, UK, Australia, New Zealand. They don't care about it. Okay. So letter of recommendation is largely a thing which is used in the US admissions. Who to get it from? Get it from the teacher who can write the best about you. Standardized tests like ACT and SAT are recommended or needed for even in the light of COVID-19. I think this will depend on university to university basis, but I think by and large they would still be needed. Okay. Can student make up for weak academics? Okay. If you're weak at academics, you need to compensate for it somewhere else. You might be good at sports, or you might be good at debating. You need to show something that is spike. So it's on the balance, because especially admissions in the US, they are not solely based on academics. They also look at the overall personality of the person. So if your academics are slightly down, you need to make up for it somewhere else. So definitely you can make up for weak academics. Unlike India, where it's very blanket. It's very, very difficult for you to make up for weak academics. US is slightly more liberal to it. What are the prospects of studying abroad for a commerce student? Okay. So first of all, there is no such thing as commerce student outside of India. It's a classification which is used, I think, primarily in India. Outside of India, they call it business studies. So there are great prospects for people to study business studies. It just depends on your aptitude and your the country you choose and what percentage you have and what your overall profile looks like. So obviously, you can look up a number of universities where you can study business studies. Last question for me in the overseas category is going abroad / thinking of applying abroad feasible in the middle of the global pandemic? What happens to financial aid prospects? What about admissions? And is it worth it given that most classes will be online? Okay. So yeah, most classes will be online, but that's true even for Indian universities. And in fact, there was a joke which has been forwarded recently. So there was this joke which was being forwarded that Netflix subscription cost you $1,000, YouTube is free, and so on and so forth. And Harvard University cost you $50,000 for online streaming. So yeah, all the classes will be online, but that is just a passing phase. Do not think COVID as a life and death matter. It's just going to pass. That should not decide what's going to happen to you in 3 years or 4 years down the line. I will repeat that n number of times during this discussion. Okay, now we are shifting gears and we are moving on to science. And I have the honor of introducing Dr. Chandra Mohan Nautiyal. Dr. Chandra Mohan Nautiyal did his MS from IIT Roorkee. He has a PhD and he is the INSA medalist for young scientists in 1998. He's a consultant in science communication at the Indian National Science Academy. Dr. Nautiyal, if you are on the panel, would you like to share some thoughts about career in science? Okay, I'm not sure if Dr. Nautiyal is there, but if we manage to get connection back with him, we'll get him on the panel at some time. Moving on to science, we'll primarily talk about medicine and engineering. Samarth and Shivant, this question is for you. So there is a stereotype that comes with a science student. If not engineering or MBBS, then what? Shivant, would you like to take that?
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, so I hope everyone is safe and sound during such a crisis. So first of all, thank you, Jaipuria. Thank you, teachers. This itself means a lot that I have been given the opportunity to interact with my juniors. Once a Jaipurian, always a Jaipurian. So I'm a pass out from Jaipuria in the year 2016, and I'm currently in my fourth year at BITS Pilani. So coming to the point, whether if not engineering or MBBS, what are the other things that the students can explore? So there are many options available there in the market, and which have actually taken a bloom. So one of them can be like data analytics, product management, consulting, finance. And given the point, like now the startups, the government of India have actually been hiring a more of consultants on the side because of the breakdown, because of the COVID. And e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, they have been actively hiring many product managers. So what all the questions that came, so I think there is a taboo among the mindset of students that engineering or doctor, they don't have to do. Please don't run away from it. There is still a lot of demand left in the market. Over to you, Samarth.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Thank you so much, teachers, to provide me this opportunity. As Shivan has correctly said, that actually this notion is wrong to say that that if you don't get MBBS, you can't do other things. You can definitely go for, like, you can go for BDS. Like dentist is actually quite disregarded, but that is not correct, because everybody do have teeth, and most of the people don't brush their teeth 2 times a day, so they will definitely land to a dentist. So there won't be any shortage for dentists. Then you have alternative medicine, alternative medical sciences like Ayurveda, Unani, Siddhant, and all those, homeopathy. And there is a large chunk of population that actually believe and follow this branch, and they still take homeopathic medicine, and it actually works in some illnesses. So definitely opting for alternative medicine is also a good aspect, as the Prime Minister's, there is a scheme Ayushman Bharat. It makes it compulsory to establish Ayush departments in every medical college and every government hospital across the country. So you will have ample of jobs across the government sectors in all the colleges. And you also have an All India Ayurveda Institute in Delhi. Similarly, you have Bharati Vidyapeeth and all those good colleges which offer BHMS, BAMS, BDU, and all those courses which are in the alternative medicine. You can also go for veterinarian sciences. Presently, as you know about coronavirus pandemic, this came from bats, actually animals. Most of the diseases come from animals. All the viruses, bacteria are actually from the animals. So basically, the prime focus or prime research currently in the world is to stop the transmission among animals itself. If you're able to do that, then we will be able to stop the transmission from animals to humans. So here the role of a veterinarian doctor is very important, because a vet will be able to, he will be the first line to stop any further pandemics that happen in the country or in the world across. So this is a very important aspect that people forget. And of course, as the world develops, more and more people have pets at their home. So they also need veterinary doctors. And the best part is you only need to give one exam, that is the NEET exam. And all these courses like Ayurveda, alternative medicine, BDS, and these veterinarian sciences all admit them based on the NEET score.
Thank
So
you so
these
much.
are the options.
Yeah. And I would also like to add B Pharma in that list as well. And I'll move on to you, Samat. One more question for you, and we need a very quick answer for this. Is Bachelor in Science a good option after class 12?
Yeah, I'll say that in the present scenario, it is a good option, because you have two different lines you can go for. One is research and basically being in the scientist category, and the other is teaching. Teaching is a very noblest profession, I'll say. And there are, like, I'll tell you about the MBBS experience only. In the MBBS, the doctors are taught by doctors. The first few years, in the first second year, you have basic sciences like anatomy, biochemistry, microbiology, medical anatomy, and all that. There was a previous notion that after doing MBBS, people used to do MD in all these subjects and teach in the college, because there is no clinical there is no clinical work in these subjects. There's only research and teaching to that. What currently the government is planning, and also many courses are coming up, is that if you are from BSc botany or zoology, you can take MSc in these subjects like physiology, biochemistry, microbiology, medical anatomy, and further medical physiology, and you can do PhD further and teach in medical colleges, because to cope up with the shortage of teachers that is currently being faced in many medical colleges across the country. So these courses are even being brought up by KGMU AIMS. They're going to roll out in the further years with MSc and all. And private medical colleges have already started, like ERAS and all that have already started MSc courses for these subjects. That is also a good option. Then we have a large network of CSIR labs. There are 4 labs in Lucknow itself, like CDRI, NBRI, IITR, and you have CMAP. These 4, along with that, there are more than 33 labs across the country. They are currently in a war footing work for COVID, and also they put out a lot of research work. So if you do BSc, botany, zoology, or anywhere, and then you do further MSc in the different branches of science, like you can go for anthropology, paleobotany, paleozoology, or genetics and genomics, which is currently the basically the most researched area in the present era, and vaccine development. All these are allied sciences which you can opt for by doing MSc, and then you can do PhD. You could be a lecturer, you could be a researcher, and all those stuff, and scientists. So basically, science is very important.
Thank you so much, Samat. And I think there is a question for me. Somebody's asking about, can we get admission in a foreign university without taking IELTS or SAT or any other examination if we have studied English? So the answer to that question is yes. So apart from US, most other universities will be flexible. If you're trying to apply to Oxford or Cambridge or Austin National University or Melbourne University or Sydney University, wherever, they will all give you a conditional offer, which will say that we give you an offer subject to you getting an IELTS band 7 or whatever. Bear in mind that even if the university gives you admission, you will still need to clear IELTS to get your visa. So you can't run away from IELTS, especially when you're applying to Canada, UK, or Australia, the Commonwealth countries. Now US definitely needs you to write SATs or ACT. You cannot run away from it. At least the good colleges, you will not be able to get in without the SAT or ACT. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Shivansh, I have a couple of more questions for you. What courses are offered at IIT? I think this question the person can look them themselves on the IIT websites. You don't need to answer this. What is the concept of semester? So can you answer that?
Rahul, can you please elaborate on this question? What is the concept of semesters as in?
Okay, so I'll take that question. I think the person is asking what is a semester. So semester means there is a year. If you divide that into 2, then it becomes a semester. If you divide that into 3, it becomes a trimester, right? So most engineering colleges in India would have their year divided into 2. So it would be a semester. So 6 months you study and then another 6 months. So whatever courses you are taking, you will finish in 6 months. Then another new session will start for the next 6 months. So that's what is semester. So unlike I think, I don't know, but unlike maybe Lucknow University, which has a year long, you need to wait for the entire year to write the exam. In engineering college, you need to do that every 6 months to get the grade of that course. And moving on, the same concept, there are some universities which have trimester concept, especially the universities like IIM, which have undergrad courses. So they will have a trimester concept. So you will have exams 3 times a year. So I think, Shivant, that is what is meant here. So I think I've answered that and I have to move on in the interest of time. Okay, I think I've got a few more questions and then I will move on to the offbeat careers panel. I will cover general questions and MBA questions and some questions on the pandemic. Okay, so here is a question for me. Is post-graduation required for a student of BCom honors? So nothing is required. It's a choice, right? Nobody can force any education on you. Is even a BCom required? No, right? It's your choice. You do a BCom, you don't do a BCom. Who cares? So what happens is that if you're looking for a job, everybody these days has a bachelor's. So in order to distinguish yourself, you might need a master's degree. It's a signaling device. It's something that tells people that I am slightly more qualified. You may or may not be, but it's a signaling device. So totally up to you whether you need a postgraduate qualification or not. It's totally up to you. Usually you would do a postgraduate qualification if your undergrad degree did not give what you really wanted. And that's a case with a lot of MBAs, right? So let's say you went to an IIT and if you got a top-notch job at Google, you don't need an MBA. You will probably grow in your in Google or wherever you have got employed. But if you did not, you probably take an MBA and go into a consulting job and so on and so forth. So I hope that answers. There is another question that says, is BCom sufficient or should any professional course such as CA, CS should be taken along with it? Now again, it depends on what you want to do with it. So there is no necessity for you to do a CA, CS or a CFA or whatever. So it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to be practicing chartered accountancy along with chartered accountancy, then maybe yeah, you need to do that CA course. But otherwise, BCom itself is a good enough degree, especially if you have taken it from a good from a good college like SRC or LSR. Then you don't need to add on extra burden to yourself. So that would be my answer. But again, this depends on an individual whether they
Hi
want
Rahul,
to yeah.
may I add
yeah,
on
yeah,
to
please
this
add,
question?
please add.
Yeah, so I would say that BCom in itself is not enough because you see it's more of a theoretical degree. So you do not get much of a practical or professional exposure. So in my opinion, MBA or doing a professional course is recommended in addition to BCom because when you enter a job market, you need professional skills, and I don't think BCom does provide that in a very good manner.
Okay. So slightly different perspective over there from Vatsal. Vatsal feels you need. I think you don't need. It depends on largely what you want to do at the end of it. So let's say if you want to write civil services examinations after the end of your BCom, maybe you don't need it. But maybe yeah, he's right. If you want to get a practical perspective of how you would function in a job environment, then probably you need it. So it depends on what you want to do at the end of your BCom. In which way does economic honors help in MBA? I think in no way it helps. I went to IIM and the people who got the highest GPA in economics courses were not economic honors guys. They were actually engineers. So I don't know if it helps in any way in MBA. I don't have anything to statistically prove that economic honors helps in MBA. It did not, at least at the place which I went for MBA, it did not help anybody who had come with an economics honors kind of background to get a higher GPA even in economics subjects. Besides CAT exam, what should one do from an early age to have an upper edge in the entire admission process in IIM? Okay, so IIM is not a monolithic organization. Okay, there is not one IIM. There are, I think, 20 IIMs now. Each of them have different admission criteria. Some give weightage to your class 10th and 12th more than the others. Some give weightage to your graduation. Some give weightage to your work experience. So there are n number of things that go into it. So look into the individual IIM that you're interested in, and then you try to back calculate what you can improve. One misconception that people have is that CAT exam is the only thing that you need to have in order to get into IIM. That is as far from truth that can be, because CAT is like a cutoff. So once they are looking at what will happen is that you probably need 99 percentile and upwards to get a call. But once you get a call, then there are other aspects that are needed. For example, your 10th and 12th marks, your undergrad marks, your work experience, and your interview. So at that point, after you, so CAT is a clearing thing, that's the first cutoff. After that, the weightage of CAT can be as low as 20%. It may not even matter. So things like your 10th and 12th may matter equally as much as the CAT does. So yes, you need to clear the cutoff, but for the final admission, it may not matter that much. So I'm just trying to explain that CAT exam is not the only thing that decides whether you get into an IIM or not. What are the, yeah?
Rahul, I would just like to add one point to you said. Similarly to the CAT, the same is the procedure for GMAT. They do look at your 10th and 12th records. What have you done in the school? What is your extracurricular activities? So just a small request to the students to not to request all these things while in your school life. It's very important to focus on your boards, but equally on your extracurricular as well, because the foreign universities do look out for.
Yeah, that is especially true for foreign universities. So when you're applying to overseas MBAs, then they look at extracurriculars much. In fact, that's true for all levels in the foreign universities. When you're applying to foreign universities, they look at you holistically as a person and not as a set of numbers. That's a fundamental difference. Whereas in India, they look at you as a set of numbers. So you're absolutely right. If you are actually applying, let's say, to Harvard, then again, in Harvard, as long as you have a GMAT of 730 plus, 730 plus is same as 770 or 790. They don't care. After that, it's something else that matters. Okay.
Well, there was a case when a student with a GMAT of 780, he was from IIT Bombay, excellent academic records. He got rejected from Stanford. This is a very recent case.
Yeah, but that happens all the time. 780, 790 GMAT doesn't guarantee admission in Stanford, definitely, where you have only 200 seats as opposed to Harvard, which has 1,000. So Stanford is very competitive. So getting a 780 in, and people who have gone to the Indian education system come with a entitlement mindset. I had 780 in GMAT, why did I not get admission? It doesn't work like that, right? That may work for IIMs. It doesn't work for Harvard or a Stanford or a Wharton. Okay. So thank you so much, Shivansh, for that your GMAT is not the deciding factor. So thank you so much for that add-on. What are the various fields of MBA? Shivansh, why don't you take that since you are a research assistant at Wharton? What are the various fields of in which you can do MBA?
Actually, what are the various fields of MBA? Since I'm still I've fully not explored that. I think Rahul, you can answer that question well. Sure. I'm working on the research side, so I can answer questions on those fields.
Sure. So there are various fields in which you can do MBA. One thing to note in mind is that IIM does not give a specialized MBA degree. You get an MBA. Until my time, you used to get something called a postgraduate diploma. Now they give you an MBA, but that MBA will not say MBA in finance or MBA in HR or MBA in marketing or MBA in this or that. So IIM gives you a general MBA degree. There are some colleges like SP Jain which give you a specialized degree which will say MBA within brackets HR or whatever, right? So what are the fields? You have HR, you have operations, you have marketing, you have finance. So these are the broad categories that come to my mind. So these are the fields in which you can do an MBA. Last question for me in this general or MBA category is, what does an HR do? Okay. How is such a job good or bad? Such a job is as good or as bad as any other job. That's straight away I can answer that. What does an HR do? An HR decides the human resource of the company. So he or she decides how to manage the human resource, how to manage the people in the organization, which will include things like compensation, how much salary to pay. It will include things like hiring, how to hire, which will include things like how to retain, how to motivate, right? So all those things, how to make leaders from employees, how to make better managers. So all these things is something which HR looks at. Okay. Now I'm moving. Yeah.
I would like to add just one point. Apart from MBA, the B schools have also launched a program known as MIM, Masters in Management. So that's a 1-year program, and that does not require WorkX. So students can also explore that option as well.
Yeah, and MIM is something which is more prevalent in the European universities, less so in the American universities. So MIM is, in fact, the MBA that you get from India, the traditional MBA which you get, like IIM Bangalore MBA, which used to be called PGP, postgraduate program or postgraduate diploma, that MBA is ranked internationally as MIM, Masters in International Management, because the Indian MBA does not require work experience. So it is not ranked as a, internationally nobody thinks IIM MBA is a full-fledged MBA. Let me put it that way, okay? It's ranked as a Masters in Management. Now, since you mentioned that, I will also mention about professional science management. That's another qualification that has come come up recently. Universities like, I think, Harvard and maybe even Wharton offers that, professional science management. So that's another management kind of qualification. Also, recently there has been uptick in data science. A lot of these MBA colleges are offering degrees in data management and data sciences, right? Shivansh, is that true?
Can you pardon, your voice
Yeah,
is
so
not...
a lot of these MBA colleges, both in India and overseas, are offering degrees in data management. So
Yes,
MBA.
both on the sides of data management, data science, data engineering, and malab, they have actually opened many fields now. Now in the fields of marketing as well. I'm very sure about Wharton.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm moving to the last phase of this panel one discussion, where there are lots and lots of questions on pandemic. I will try to take some of this, and some of this I will juggle around with other people. And after that, we'll move on to the panel 2, which is offbeat careers. So we have to finish this entire thing in 2 hours. So I think I'll try to finish this pandemic thing in 5 to 10 minutes max. So the first question, yeah.
Before you go ahead, there's a question on the chat. I'll just answer that in a few seconds.
Sure.
Basically, if you do an honors course, you get an option to pick a second subject, all right? And when you pick a second subject, you can choose psychology as your second subject, but then you would not be able to study it extensively as in while if you would have chosen psychology honors or if you would have got it, but you will still study it in the first 2 years, because honors, what happens is honors is that the second subject is dropped after the second year. So till the second year, in the first 4 semesters, you do study psychology, and then you also have an option of doing masters in psychology if you've chosen psychology as a second subject. So choose those colleges that offer psychology as a second subject with your honors course or whatever you're doing.
Thank you so much, Kushbuta, for that input. So there is a question over here which says, this is more related to pandemic. How can pandemic affect the admission to engineering/medical colleges, considering that many entrance examinations have been cancelled and most of them have been delayed? Samarth, do you want to take that?
Yes. Actually, I feel that they will conduct the exams because without that, they won't be taken the entry via only on the basis of the marks you get in boards. Because it is a competitive exam, and there is a complete different lot of thinking that is involved in picking up a medical or an engineering student. So basically, they will conduct the exam someday or the other, either in September if the conditions goes as per their plan. But they will conduct. It is not possible to scrape them off.
Sure, understood. Shiman, do you have any different view to that?
Actually, about the BITSAT, the examination for BITS Pilani, BITSAT, that would be happening maybe around the month of September or October. And coming to the point of JEE mains, what the official notice has still not been released, but from the Senate, what we have received is that maybe in the month of August last week or September mid, they might have the JEE mains, but there is still no information about JEE advanced. And yes, the number of students intake will still remain the same, so the students should really be prepared.
Okay.
Because it can very much happen in September or October.
So Shivansh, in that same light, there's another question. Is it possible to conduct exams such as JEE mains and NEET in September, keeping in mind the growing COVID cases? So I think what this person is trying to ask is it even possible to have these examinations? I think we don't know, right? That's a policy
we can't say currently.
Yeah, we can't say this.
But it is for sure that they will conduct it someday or the other.
So let me quickly summarize. If you are sitting in your home thinking that there will be no exam this year, forget about that. That's what our panelists feel, that there will be an exam. Be prepared for it. Take this opportunity to prepare more, because
you have more time. You will have more time. So if someone is thinking to take a drop, he will have more time. So he will be able to prepare it better.
Yes, exactly. So you will have more time to prepare, and so will everybody else. So if you're sitting thinking nothing is going to happen, there's no exam, then you will be at a disadvantage, because people probably are preparing for this. So buckle up, tighten, pull your socks up, and prepare. Don't be sitting there thinking exams are not going to happen.
Already working. The management of both IIT and BITS are already working on the system, on the software, and how to conduct the exams without any unfair means. So please be prepared for that. And without any span of time, you would be given a deadline. You need to apply. So please be prepared.
Okay, there is a question here. Considering the prevailing uncertainty due to pandemic, what can be done from our end in terms of academics? Okay, I'm not sure what that question means, but I will try to answer it to the best of my abilities of understanding that question. So there are 3 things you need to do probably. So first, you should remember that in the current environment, probably geography is history. So you might be working remotely, you might be logged on remotely for taking your courses. So forget about geography. That's number 1. Because geography has been kind of dissolved, you are working remotely. So get comfortable with working remotely, get a fast internet connection, get your best camera in place, get all that infrastructure that is needed for you to actually study remotely. So that's the other thing that you can do. And thirdly, because you would be doing a lot of your courses online, a lot of your courses through IT, right? Through IT delivery system. So get comfortable with this, right? So get comfortable with the new way of learning, which we call e-learning. So these are the three things I can talk about. I don't fully understand your question, but that's what I think probably answers your question in some way. Okay, here is another question. How important is it to keep in mind today the e-learning infrastructure while choosing the college, since many government colleges may not have it, which may affect academics? Okay. I would say that actually, if anything, government colleges will be better prepared for, I'm talking about top government colleges like IITs, NIT and the likes, and the top central universities. They will be better prepared with IT infrastructure than private colleges. See, when you talk about private colleges, you actually look at very small fraction of the colleges that you probably have heard the names of. There are tons and tons of colleges that have mushroomed. None of them will be in the capacity to have the IT infrastructure to support e-learning. So if anything, those government colleges will be in a better situation to be able to have the infrastructure for e-learning. Because they probably will get some funding from the government. Samarth, do you have what is your view on that?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, because government, like medical colleges also, government medical colleges always have backing from the government. They have funds, they have complete infrastructure already in place. For my classes are still going on, and I'm also posted for COVID duties at the same time online. And I will be soon going back to my college because of the duties. So basically, we are being taught continuously, and we are still, my syllabus is almost done for this year, which usually gets over by 2-3 months more. But we are early actually. We have completed the syllabus. So many private colleges have actually closed. Many private medical colleges are on the verge of closing because of that, because they don't have the funds to continue. Their hospitals are also not working much, and because government was not allowing many patients to be seen in private institutions. So they are facing a cash crunch. So basically, private medical colleges get recognition from MCI and they can be closed anytime.
Sure. Okay, is traditional learning going to undergo lasting change with e-learning becoming the new norm? Yes, but see, the most important offering that a college offers still is the campus, right? So college is not just about learning. In fact, somebody earlier mentioned that teachers don't even come to the colleges. So college is not so much about academia as people think it to be. It's more about networking. It's more about hanging out in that cafeteria. So all those things will happen at some point. Maybe not this year, maybe not even until the middle of next year, but this will come back. So think of COVID as a passe. It's not here to stay. Yes, what is going to happen is that a lot of e-learning is going to happen, but there will be a hybrid model. It will never be that you have 100% things going online for the entire 3 years or 4 years of your course. You might have close to 15 to 20% at max of your course in your entire 4 years or 3 years that will be online. So that's what's going to happen. Having said that, there might be some universities or some company that comes up with a model which says that all my courses are online and I give you the freedom to choose it from anywhere in the world. I will give you MOOCs, I will give you open learning platform. You can take it from Harvard, you can take it from MIT. And as long as you take these courses from these universities, these approved universities, I'll talk to UGC and I will talk to AICT, and I'll come with a model where you don't need to go to college and I will be able to give you a degree. So that may happen, but that is not going to happen today. It may take 2 or 3 years. So that's a fundamental shift that may happen, but you don't need to worry about those things. Okay, to go to a traditional college, go to a college which has a name. Do not try to go for these colleges which are mushrooming online and you don't know the credibility of those colleges, especially if you're a Jaipuria student. Okay, what sectors of the economy will suffer and what does that mean with respect to career prospects due to pandemic? Again, I would say pandemic is a passe. Do not make it sound as if it's going to be there for the next 4 or 5 years when you will graduate. That's definitely not going to happen. Yes, in terms of what industries that are going to suffer. So anything which involves human contact, that is going to suffer, except for medical services. Okay. So if you're in a restaurant business or if you're into anything where people to people contact, airlines or whatever, right? So all those will suffer, but temporarily, right? All this economy will bounce back. Anything which is enabling remote, like IT services, like Zoom shares have rocketed, right? So anything which is going to be shifting away from physical to virtual, telemedicine will take place. A lot of e-learning platforms will come. So all those things will open up. But these may mushroom, these may spike for the short time, but then they will go down back. think of demonetization. In demonetization, you had Paytm and all skyrocketing. What has happened now? It's back to normal, right? So spike will happen, they will always normalize. So the new normal will be slightly above the previous normal, but it's not going to be a fundamental shift. It will not be a fundamental shift. That is what
Yes, Rahul, I also want to add, like currently you said spike, the pharmaceutical industry is also spiking currently because of the medicines and vaccine and all. And as you had mentioned about B Pharma, like B Pharma is a good, very good field to work in, B Pharma and MBA. So definitely these industries are skyrocketing and will continue because the medicine and vaccines are being developed and they will be marketing at a very large scale everywhere.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, there are two more questions for me on this first panel. In the view of the increased uncertainty, should one refrain from pursuing unconventional bachelors? I don't know what do you mean by unconventional bachelors, but anything that you want to pursue, put your mind and thought to it. Look at that Ikigai diagram and figure out, is it something that you really want to do? Is it something that you can make a career in, regardless of pandemic, regardless of uncertainty? See, career choices are already inherently uncertain. You don't know what job you will get at the end of the day, right? That, as I told you, you can't control the results. Now, do not add another layer of uncertainty into it. So as far as possible, go for choices that you're certain and sure about. That is what my advice is. Do not try to, I mean, you could always take an unconventional path and be successful. But for every millions of people who come to Mumbai to become Shah Rukh Khan, there is only one Shah Rukh Khan. Don't forget that. Yeah. Last question for me is: are online certifications from reputed colleges worth the effort? Because UGC does not recognize them on paper as of yet. Okay. Two things here. Are you studying because you want knowledge, or are you studying because you want recognition? So if you're studying something because you are wanting knowledge, go ahead and do that certification from MIT or Harvard or whatever, in machine learning or whatever you want to, digital marketing. That will give you knowledge, right? But maybe UGC doesn't recognize it. So maybe you may or may not be able to get job. But then again, there is a counter example to that. ISB, Indian Institute of Business, Indian School of Business, is not recognized, right? But then they give you paper which the industry recognizes. I mean, the salaries that you get from ISB are at par with IIM. So whether a UGC recognizes or not, as long as the corporate recognizes, as long as the company is saying, okay, I accept this certificate is coming from MIT, why do you care? Unless you want to do a master's in something. So word of caution, do not pursue a degree program which is online. Okay, you can pursue certifications online, you can pursue diplomas online, but do not pursue a degree online. Okay, that is a word of caution here. Okay,
adding to what just Rahul said, so even if you are earning, like if you get into DU and at later point of time you develop an interest in data science or data analytics, so if you have certifications from Harvard or IBM or such corporate institutes, yes, they will earn you some validation in getting through the interviews, but yes, that will totally depend on your skill. But otherwise, these certifications don't have so much value.
Sure. Okay, now we are going to shift gears. Now, it was a very intense first panel. We spent almost 90 minutes discussing various questions, various career options, and I tried to be as quick as possible. I'm sure there are many unanswered questions, but remember, this is a session by Jaipurians for Jaipurians. So all those people that you are seeing on the panel, they are there for you. You can reach out to us. You can get our emails. You can reach out to your teachers. We can connect you on WhatsApp. N number of ways for you to get connected to us. The idea of doing this panel is to make you realize that there is a support system for you. There is any college you name, right from Harvard to IIT to IIM to Wharton, we have alumni. We can tell you what it takes to get there. We can probably help you maneuver this difficult, wandering, and a not so straightforward path called career, right? So we can help you on all that. Just reach out, okay? So this is just to give you a snapshot of what all we are capable of. This by no means is conclusive. This by no means is seminal. This by no means is end in itself. Do reach out. That's my number one advice to you, and probably the only advice. Okay, now we are moving on to panel 2. Now in panel 2, we will talk about offbeat careers. So offbeat careers, as you understand, by definitions are not the careers that you can inherently plan for. These are careers which are largely driven by passion, and the probability of you not making it big in these careers is quite high, right? As I told you, for every millions of people who come to Mumbai with a mass communication degree from Delhi, there is only one Shah Rukh Khan, right? And now, as you can see, that there is this idea of nepotism, which is talked about a lot in Bollywood and elsewhere. So remember, any industry which is fudgy, in which your degrees and your credentials play a lesser role in determining whether you are successful, there will be much more of that nepotism, there will be much more of that networking game, there will be much more of those extra factors that go into making you successful or not. I would also call them luck as well. So there is an inherent amount of uncertainty that is much higher in offbeat careers as compared to traditional careers. There is a reason why majority of people go for traditional career, because you can predict the outcome with a reasonable amount of certainty. Of course, it's uncertain, but you can still have a reasonable amount of standard deviation. That standard deviation is much wider for an offbeat career. Ashma, I'm not sure if you're on the panel. Are you there, Ashma?
Yes, I'm here, Rahul.
Hi, Ashma. Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you so much for joining in the panel.
My pleasure.
So, Ashma, you have brought a lot of laurels to the school. You have been former Miss India finalist, and I think there have been a couple of more people from the school who have had that opportunity and have brought that laurel to the school. So can you walk us through your journey? What happened after you left the school? How did you become model, and what you currently do?
Well, thanks a lot, Rahul. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this panel and share my views with all of you. It's great to connect with the fellow Jaipurians here. I won't take much time. I'll quickly just tell you about my journey. I always had this childhood dream of being a part of the Femina Miss India pageant, which of course I finally achieved. I didn't win it, but I think it's a journey that really matters. So after my class 12th, my entire family moved to Delhi. I needed more exposure to modeling and acting, which was not possible being in a city like Lucknow with limited opportunities. I joined Delhi University and I got myself enrolled in many extracurricular activities like music, dance, fashion. We used to attend a lot of these, fashion shows and everything, which were being held in different colleges and institutes in Delhi. After college, I got through Gladrag's mega model contest, and then I finally moved to Mumbai to pursue my modeling career. I ensured that I completed my graduation before I could think of getting into the glamour world, because believe me, when you get into it, you completely forget about studies. I worked very hard on myself for the next 3 years after Gladrags, and finally got through Femina Miss India. I was amongst the top 10 finalists, winner of Bollywood Diva and Miss Beautiful Eyes. So that's my modeling journey in short.
Right, and what happened after that? Are you still a model?
No, so it's been almost 10 years. I quit modeling. I am very much into a corporate life now. So I quit it because, see, modeling or acting has a shelf life, especially for women. So it is a very short-lived career, and one needs to always have a backup plan or an alternative career in mind. I decided that I wanted to get into a corporate life where I could use my skills and my intellect, and I finally made a career switch. I'm actually quite content and happy with the decision that I made. But yeah, modeling has taught me a lot, which I'll probably discuss later with you.
No, we don't have later. You have to discuss now.
So yeah, so I'll also tell you about the, so every industry has got pros and cons to it. Definitely modeling looks really glamorous from outside, very show shy, everything. But like every other industry, even glamour industry requires a lot of hard work, a lot of patience, a lot of determination. There'll be times when you'll feel really low. You might doubt yourself. You will compare yourself with others. But I think you need to be really strong, mentally strong. In fact, it goes for everything in your life. I always believe in these 3 P's, which is positivity, persistence, and patience. And I think these are the most important things in one's life, be it your personal life or your professional life. So yes, modeling or acting does definitely look very glamorous from outside, but you need to be really patient, really mentally strong to survive there. And I made a career switch at the right age. So I think that's a good step that I took.
Sure. So what do you do currently?
Currently, so I'll tell you, so after Miss India, I came back to Delhi and I actually started my corporate life with India's largest media conglomerate, which is Network 18. I was part of the marketing team of CNBC TV 18 and CNN News 18. And I worked there for a very long time before I started my own venture 2 months ago. It's called Vegs Up. So I'm actually very passionate about vegetarian or a plant-based diet, health and fitness, mental well-being, animals, environment, sustainability. So this platform is all about promoting, vegetarian diet, plant-based diet, everything about a healthy and a sustainable lifestyle. Apart from that, I'm an MC, so I host business shows and conferences as well. So that's what I do currently.
That's lovely. And has modeling helped you in any of this that you do now?
Definitely. I would actually say 50% of whatever I'm doing in my life, the credit goes to what I learned and experienced during my glamour days. It has made me more disciplined. It has made me very positive. It has made me mentally strong, very confident, persistent. I can just go talk to anybody. I don't feel shy, that whole confidence and everything. So, and I really wish that everyone in this world could actually, go through the Miss India grooming. I think it completely changes your life. I really wish everybody could be a part of that.
So Ashma, what we're going to do is, since you strongly believe in that grooming aspect, we will rope you in at some point to come to the school and probably establish a program like that in the school where you will groom these young girls into how to be more confident about themselves,
Absolutely.
how to approach strangers. So those subtle aspects about modeling, apart from that glamour aspect, which totally gets missed out, right? I mean, it's not easy being an 18-year-old standing in a bikini and answering those difficult life questions, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you'll get those highs and lows in life. That's always there. I think you just need to believe in yourself. There'll always be comparisons in life. But whenever you want me to end this conversation, Rahul, I just have like a few words that I want to end it with. So whenever.
Okay, so before you end the conversation, I have a question with you. So in your time, the only way you could become a model is by going through those conventional channels, right? Basically participating in beauty pageants and so on and so forth, or with an ad agency. Nowadays, we are seeing a new kind of models. We call them Insta models.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion about that? And a lot of our students actually want to be Insta famous. So what is your advice to them?
Yeah, I think anybody can be Insta famous. You just need to remember that always have a backup plan. That's it. Don't just go by the glamour or the shosha of this business. Think, oh my God, today I've got 1,000 followers. Tomorrow I'll get 500,000 followers. Just don't get a high because of that. Because so everything has an end date. Always remember that. You will rise someday. You will fall someday. Always have a backup plan. Always think what you're going to do in life apart from this. If this fails. That's what I just want to tell everybody, because I have had bad experiences, good experiences, everything. Do not shy away from bad experiences. Never regret anything in your life, because everything just teaches you, just makes you a better person.
Sure. And what is the message you wanted to give?
So it's just, it's the same thing, So I have actually done a lot of different kinds of work in my life. I have been an usher at events. I have even distributed pamphlets at a stall before I could be a part of Miss India. So I would just say that don't consider any work as menial, or no work is even high. You should try everything in your life. You will rise, you will fall, you will have good experiences, bad experiences, but just keep moving on, because everything just makes you a better person, and it will make you realize the difference between good and bad. So I think along with success, failure is equally important. Yeah. We are all here, like all the people you are actually, all the mentors who are here on the panel, we can always tell you what's right, what's wrong, but eventually it's you who has to make that final call, and you have to find your own way forward.
Yeah, I think I liked what you talked about failures, because I think failure is something that teaches you, because success you forget, right?
Yes,
failure
absolutely.
Is actually the thing that teaches you what you should have done better. So thank you so much for that note. Harshi, the next question is for you. Obviously, we had you on the previous panel as well, where you talked about your math journey. Can you tell us the difference between NIFT and NID? This is a question which we often hear from people. And also in that same vein, is the design industry same as the modeling industry, which Ashma talked about? Is it as glamorous as people think it is?
Okay, so I'd like to start with the second question. I don't think it is. I don't see any similarities between the modeling industry and the design industry. And it's a common stereotype that people expect designers to be glamorous and all of that. But in my experience, we're really simple, down to earth people, and design is about people and serving people. So anything that you design is for the people, and none of it you do, none of it is for yourself. So the approach to design that we're taught is empathy based. You experience what people experience, you kind of step into their shoes, you realize what problems they have, and you try to solve it. So none of it is for yourself, it's for the people, and design is for the people. So the best design, or what you call a good design, is what benefits everyone and not just say the top 1%, top 5% people, right? So leading from that question, I think it's like, you know, when you ask people about design or what they know about design, they'll tell you that, you know, there are 3 or 4 kinds of designs. There's graphic design, fashion design, interior design, and product design. But that's just the starting of it, and that's the most popularized disciplines in design, and that's not where it ends. That's just the beginning of it. So I study in NID, which is the National Institute of Design, and we have 8 disciplines, which are divided into, let's say, 2 broader categories, which is industrial design, under which you have product design, ceramic and glass design, textile design, and you have visual communication, under which you have film and video communication, you have animation design, and you have graphic design, and you have exhibition and spatial design. And under ID, the another discipline is furniture and interior design. So let's say I'll take CGD as an example, which is ceramic and glass design. Under ceramic and glass design, people work with artisans. Even textile designers work with artisans, handicrafts people, and what we're taught at NID is a very people-centric approach, and we try to work with as many artisans as we can to revive this sort of Indian culture that we have, which is rich in design, but we've never considered it as a design. So a simple bamboo weaver is a designer in himself, and as a designer, as a professional designer with a degree, you don't undermine these people, you work with them and you uplift them, and you're never above them because they're way more, they have way more skills than you do.
Sure,
so
sure.
so it's
so
a
Harshi,
very
because in the interest of time I have to stop you there.
Yes,
I apologize for that. Can you tell, you are very passionate about design. When you're speaking, that passion is coming across the screen. If you had to design one thing, what would that be?
I'm sorry?
If you had to design one thing, what would that be? Because I can see a lot of passion about design coming out from you.
I mean, I'm just starting out in my career, and I'm just starting out with my college. So I think I need to know way more before I, get to that question. So I'd like to answer about what you asked earlier about NIFT and NID. People confuse these 2 colleges a lot, and I think it'll benefit the students if I could distinguish between them. So NIFT is the National Institute for Fashion Technology, and the courses or disciplines it has are leather design, accessory design, fashion communication, knitwear design, textile design. So if you're looking to go into the fashion industry, NIFT is the way to go. If you're looking to go into design as, generally, or if you want to get into graphics or animation, then NID is the way to go. There's also IIT Bombay school called IDC, which is also a design school, and IIT Bombay, IIT Hyderabad, IIT Guwahati, and IIIT-DM Jabalpur all have design schools which you can get into through UCEED exams, right? And also, last thing, if I'd like to end with, is that when you're talking about design, it's a very interdisciplinary, field, and these labels that we give, let's say product design, fashion design, these are meaningless when you get into the industry, because none of it is completely product. None of it, even an apparel that you design in a fashion, school is a product at the end, if you see. So these boundaries disappear when you get into the industry. So it's very important to keep your mind open to all of these courses, and because it's very competitive. NID has, let's say, maximum 20 seats for one discipline, product design or textile design, any of it. So it's very hard to get into the choice of discipline that you want to. So it's very important to have an open mind. And at the end, you need to learn design, and you don't need to learn product design or textile design, let's say, because at the end you can get there by yourself. But developing a design thinking is more important than being a degree holding product designer. So whatever school you end up in, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And at the end, it's based on what you make of it.
Thank you so much, Harshi. I've got 10 more minutes and I have to wrap this up. Akriti, why don't you bring you on the stage? You are a community manager, if I understand. What does a community manager do?
Yeah, hi Rahul, hi everyone. Thank you for having me here. I am extremely grateful. Happy to help. So, so I think I'll take 5 minutes. Is that all right?
Yeah, we'll have to squeeze the other two then.
Yeah. It's just
after you, we have three more people to squeeze actually.
Right. I just feel like a dinosaur here because I have 10 years worth of experience to share.
Yeah, if you're a dinosaur, then I probably don't exist.
So it's just I actually disagree with you on a couple of things over there.
Okay, go ahead.
One, these are uncertain times, and I think it's important to try as many new things. I understand there aren't enough credentials or any course that you can do to get into these unconventional careers. So it is important to talk about them and also to try them out. And as you said, failure is a part of it. You get to learn a lot. But other than that, also the second thing I'd like to point out is one thing we need to get above is categorizing professions gender-wise. I just feel like it's just a whole open world for all of us, and we should just move beyond these gender binaries a little bit. So those are my 2 cents. Apart from that, okay, so I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in English literature from Delhi University. Then I have worked for a year in digital marketing space, after which I have completed the Young India Fellowship from Ashoka University. And now I've been working with Ashoka University as their alumni relations officer for 2 years now. So one thing I'd like to bring out here, especially on this platform, is the importance of alumni. Like, I'm here today because I'm a proud alumna of Jaipuria, and I would like to bring that experience to the students, parents, teachers, everybody here. So I think as an alum, what you need to look at is three things: the value that you can add to the institution, the value that you can add to yourself, and the value that you add to the world. It is interlinked. Then when we come to community management, my role is something which is very new. You wouldn't find it anywhere else. Like in foreign universities, sure, but in India, it's a pretty new concept. So I have moved from a traditional path to an unconventional path, and I derive a lot of pleasure out of connecting with people. So I think what matters most right now is your internal set of values and what you want to bring to the community, what you add to the community. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's like you grow yourself by helping others. So, and if we would like to talk about the tangibles, because parents generally are very uncomfortable with these intangible conversations, is as a person handles an entire office.
Can you wrap this up in the next 1 minute, please?
Yeah, okay. So my role consists of 3 or 4 things. That is policy making, outreach and networking, communications, fundraising, and it's a lot of different things that I did not get to do. So I think I would only request parents here and students to try out a lot of things that don't look very glamorous or they look a little offbeat, but it is something worth trying. And I'm available, Rahul's available, everybody in here is available if you'd like to know more. So Madhav's already clarified a lot about Ashoka, and I have a bird's eye view of the admissions process also, and what you can do after graduating from college if you're looking at the broader perspective. So that would be my ending sentence to
Thank
you.
you, Akriti. We would have loved to talk to you longer, but I have 5 minutes and I have 3 people to speak to before that.
Yeah,
In
I
that
totally
5 minutes.
understand.
Okay, Khushbu, this question is for you. We obviously had you on the previous panel as well, where you gave a lot of insights. The question to you is, when and how did you become an author? How easy is it to get your book published? Can one make living from writing? So all that in 2 minutes if you can.
All right. Very quickly, I'll lay in very simple terms. I liked writing poetry. I enjoyed it. I really loved it and derived pleasure out of it. And I was good at it. So, and that was what a lot of other people also thought. So they encouraged me to, compile the poetry into one book, which I did. And I found the first publisher on Google, and I just, dove into it. And that is how I started getting a lot of positive reviews, and I thought that okay, I can take this ahead in my maybe as a career or something. So I started writing more. I used to write not for publishing, but just because I liked writing. So that is how the third book of mine would have been published in March had it not been for COVID. And right now I'm working on my fourth book and a ghostwriting project.
So hold on. We want to know about your first book, because once you publish the first book, rest is history, as they say.
Right.
So that first book is what we're interested in.
Right. So I was just coming to the publishing process. So what happens is that you have two kinds of publishers, self-publishing and traditional publishers. Okay. So the thing with traditional publishers is that these people, because they don't take any charges from you, they take a very long time to publish. Okay. So they will reply back to you on your script in like 6 months and then tell you to send more in the next 6 months. So it will take at least 2-3 years. So if you're that patient, then great, go ahead with it. And if you think that, this could be, but then selected, but then they have like a lot of people to choose from. So the very safe another option is self-publishing, where you invest some amount of money in the publishing process, and then you get your book published on different online platforms as well as offline. Now selling a book is completely different and writing a book is completely different. Sure. So marketing of a book is a completely different business altogether, and I've never really gotten into it because I thought that I did not really want to earn from my books. I just wanted them to be there for some people who would want to learn. But of course, the thing is that it doesn't reach a lot of people if you're not marketing it, right? So again, marketing requires more money into it. Now,
can you make a living from writing? That's the question.
Right. I was just coming to it. So if you can you make a living out of writing? Yes, you can.
Do you make a living out of writing? That's the question.
No, I don't, because what
do you do for a living?
I am right now, I'm pursuing my master's in English, so I'm still studying. And after that, I have planned, again, like ma'am had said, that basically you have to have a backup option. That is what I have as a goal. I will do PhD and then I'll go in the lecturership.
Did you break even on your first book? The amount of money you put, you self-published, and you didn't manage to break even?
Yeah.
Okay. So Khushbu, again, I will have to cut this short. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, just a second. I just wanted to say...
Sure,
anyway,
go ahead.
I forgot. Sorry.
Okay. So I'll just quickly summarize that as well. What you said. So there are two models: self-publishing, and then there's traditional publishers. So in a self-publishing model, you put the money, you publish, and you totally own whatever the money is. Whatever, if the book is $100 and minus your cost, that's what you get to keep. When you are going in a traditional model, what happens is you only get at the max 8 to 12% royalty. So that's one thing that people need to bear in mind when they're publishing, self-publishing, or they are going to a traditional publisher. We'll move to Pallavi. Pallavi, you work in the airlines industry, so can you tell more about what you do and how you got into this profession?
Sure, Rahul. Firstly, in the beginning of the session, in the introduction, you said that these offbeat careers are something which are very risky. Well, with the aviation industry, not so. It's quite a flourishing industry, and it is growing day by day. If you will exclude the pandemic situation, then the connectivity, the travel and tourism is growing day by day. And the career opportunities and the employment generation in this industry is quite high. So it's not risky at all. You can make a good living out of it. It's $1 million industry. And it's not only about cabin crew or flight crew. It includes a lot of departments like statistics, like digital routing for airlines, aeronautics, aircraft building, HR, customer service, and a lot more. So a lot of people they basically think that it's just the service industry, but it's not just about service. It's about a lot many things. It's also about training. So I'm not giving my introduction because the time is less. So I would just cover some beneficial
I'm
points.
sure people will reach out to you. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. So I would just will be covering up some beneficial points. So if you are going to opt for aviation, my first advice to the newbies would be that please complete your graduation. Although the basic criteria to enter in this industry is very less, like you have to be 18 years of age, you should hold your plus two certificate from a recognized board or a university, and you should be an Indian citizen. That's all you need to fulfill. These are the criteria if you need to fulfill if you want to enter into an aviation industry. But I would just suggest that please complete the graduation because it would open up the doors for you in future. Because there was a question which Mr. Rahul forwarded it to me, that what are your career plans once you hit your 30s? And I think that is something which is very commonly asked to us, like to the cabin crews, that once you reach a certain age and your body and mind is not allowing you to fly further, what will you do next? So because of this, I'm saying that you should pursue your graduation, because then you can continue with your traditional graduation thing. Like I did English honors, and aviation was not the first thing which I started doing. I was into training. I used to teach grooming and personality development and hospitality in Sherlock Academy of Management and also with Frankfurt. So I was associated with training first, and then I came into aviation. So it was quite different for me in the beginning. So once you hit your 30s, no problem. You can always go back to what you did your graduation into. You can also pursue your graduation in aviation because there are a lot of universities. Rajiv Gandhi being a top university of aviation in Hyderabad. So you can also pursue your graduation in aviation if you're so much fascinated in aviation. And there's no plan B for me. The plan A was like I was very passionate about traveling, so I just thought, why not to make a good living out of it? So I love traveling, and I actually get paid for it. So it was quite of a good decision which I made in my life. So yeah, that is all about. And feel free to reach out to me. I would be leaving my contact with Mr. Rahul. And yeah, I would like to give some these. I am cutting it short because I want to give those remaining minutes to Mr. Nilesh, who is the last person to speak about the topic. So that's all.
That's very kind of you, Pallavi. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
I know.
I really wanted to talk to you much more, but then unfortunately,
I know. That's fine. It was a pleasure, and I'm flattered as flattered as I am to be a part of this panel. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have saved the best for the last. I'm going to announce it, although I have not had a confirmation about this from Nilesh. He, I think, owns Anandi, so all Jaipurians get a free Anandi trip, right, Nilesh?
Definitely.
You own that. Okay, tell me about yourself. Are you the first generation entrepreneur, or it's a family business? How did you get into entrepreneurship?
It does to some extent. Run in the bloodline. I'm not the first generation entrepreneur, as my forefathers were dealing in silver and gold, and I always wanted to climb up the supply chain. So therefore, I'm doing what I'm doing today. I'm buying from the miners. I've climbed up the supply chain to such an extent that I'm dealing globally with miners situated in Australia, in Bolivia, in Peru, in Papua New Guinea. So what I do is I actually buy gold from them in the raw form and I export it to Dubai.
So you are actually into physical. You're not into paper trading. You're into physical trading.
We are into physical bullion desk. That's correct.
Okay. Besides bullion, do you have other business interests?
We do have other ventures such as yarn trading and hospitality. Currently, also we are also creating a new e-commerce platform by the name of Jewel Deck, which is an e-commerce platform for multi-vendors. Jewelers, multi-vendors, right? Such as jewelers, diamond dealers, bullion dealers, silver dealers all across the globe. So currently my team and I are working on this project.
Okay, that's lovely. So I understand you're not the first generation entrepreneur. Have you ever worked outside of your family business?
Sorry?
Have you ever worked outside of your family business?
I have. I was interning with Deloitte when I was in Singapore. It's a beautiful place to be.
Right.
I worked with few refineries in Australia to gain experience in the industry. So yes, I have worked before.
Okay. So is there any advice you would give to people who want to be entrepreneurs, especially first generation entrepreneurs, or somebody who wants to bootstrap their entrepreneurship journey?
So if an entrepreneur wants to take this wants to set up a new business, right? I mean, it's a bit difficult, right? In the beginning, there are challenges, and you need the right mindset to be in this industry or in this stream. So what advice I would give is, if you love taking challenges, if you already have your stream of income, right, which is not affecting, if you invest that in your entrepreneurial ventures, and it doesn't affect your
survival.
current survival, right?
Yeah.
So definitely go for it.
Yeah. So that's a very great piece of advice, and you very beautifully summarized it, saying that be an entrepreneur, but also calculate your risk. So do not put all your money into a venture where you next day don't know where you're going to get fed from. So that's a very great closure, and I have come to the end of all the discussion we had to do. So I'm 5 minutes overshooting. I hope the audience accepts my sincere apology for that. And with that, we are actually coming to the end of the session. I know there are a lot of other questions that are popping up in the chat group, but unfortunately, we'll call it a day, as every good thing, this also needs to come to an end. You can reach out to any of us if you have further questions. I will hand over back to the school now.
You once told me you wanted to find yourself in the world, and I told you to first apply within, to discover the world within you. It is without a doubt that we learned innumerable things here today, from receiving advice on picking the right college to the right subjects. The valuable experiences of the panelists have helped each one of us achieve a certain clarity of mind. We are immensely grateful to Ma'am Anjali Jaipuria, the Principal Ma'am Romini Chopra, and Ma'am Archana Mishra, who provided us with this opportunity of speaking with the alumni. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Rahul sir, who graciously spared time from his busy schedule to moderate this event. Thank you to the panelists, Shivansh Agarwal, Samat Rastogi, Shubh Sahai, Madhav Agarwal, Shubhika Singh, Vatsal Sharma, Akriti Asthana, Pallavi Singh, Nilesh Agarwal, Harshi Lal, Khushbu Kirti, and Ashima Jain for giving us such priceless insight on the what's, the whys, and the hows of making the right career choices. We would like to thank Vinay Pandey sir, Rashmi Singh ma'am, Suresh sir, and Preeti Singh ma'am, without whom this webinar would not have been possible. We also acknowledge the efforts of the core council group comprising Samar Dwivedi, Twisha Dikshit, Anandita Rajneesh, and Ali Mahmood for creating posters, arranging questions, and helping in noting down the important notes from the session so that it benefits other students too. We would like to end on the note that life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Ria, for that wonderful closure. And once again, I will reiterate, we are open for you. If you have questions, reach out to us personally, or you can go through your teachers. We will answer those questions to the best of our abilities. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in, and we are signing off now. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.